Steve Summers and Robby Boydstun for educ.com. Robby, we're now in our second week, I guess, of the 2014 recruiting year. So what's going on?
Well, start your countdown clocks. 50 weeks until signing day next year. But in all seriousness, Oregon's up to 16 offers now. Posted a little article on EDUC yesterday, just kind of breaking down some of the more recent offers. A couple of kids that kind of stood out from there. Kane Dobb, who's a kid from he's back in the South, and he's a very talented linebacker, very explosive, kind of looks like a nightmare to deal with, honestly, when he busts through the line. And he was an LSU commit, verbal commit for a long time, backed out of that, and Oregon and USC are the West Coast schools for him. You're seeing a lot more offers for kids back in the Southeast. Oregon's up to 6 kids now from the Southeast region that they've offered more than any other region in the country. They're about 2 to 3 everywhere else, kind of across the board. So you're seeing them kind of grow nationally in terms of presence. You're seeing a lot of kids that are showing interest in them, who maybe they haven't offered yet, but they might in the near future. Just, you're seeing reports, and a lot of these kids are from back east, and Oregon's going to have a big presence there, I think, in the class of 2014.
Well, so we're now, before we started this, you talked about breaking it up my regions. One of the questions people always have, how many are here in the state of Oregon?
Right now, there are currently 0 offers for the state of Oregon, but I think that will change. I did talk to Jordan Morgan, a Southridge prospect, this past week out in Beaverton, and he said that Oregon, he had been in contact with Scott Frost, who's now the offensive coordinator, but was the wide receivers coach. Morgan's a very talented wide receiver. If you look at his film, he's got kind of the makeup of an Oregon wide receiver, because you got to be pretty proficient at blocking. He's a good blocker, good hands, just good instincts as wide receiver. And I think, you're going to see a kid maybe like him get an offer. He said that Frost really liked his tape. They were evaluating wide receivers this week, so that's something Oregon is putting a little bit of a focus on, is the wide receivers. You're also seeing it just based off their offer list, really focusing on the offensive tackle, offensive guard positions. They've got 6 offers out just in those spots alone, and they're kind of all over the board. You see a kid like Orlando Brown, who's a 3-star prospect, but he's 6'7", 340 pounds, out of Georgia, just a monster guy. Another kid out of Alabama, Jordan Sims, who's 6'4", 340 pounds. And then you got a kid who's probably more of a type of prospect that Oregon, you see more with Oregon, in Caleb McGarry, who's a Northwest product out of Fife High School in Tacoma. He's at 6'6", 272, and he's got, you watch his film, he's great hands, great blocking ability. His feet always stay from him. He's a very talented kid, definitely a kid that you could see probably playing in Oregon.
Now, so it's the line, we know receivers, any other positions where there's several offers out?
Well, several, not so much, but you're looking at running back. They're actually putting a focus on, and when you project kind of down the line, running back's always a position that Oregon, they need to be stacked in, and you saw them get Thomas Tyner this past year, who's kind of the gem of that 2013 class. But you see they're getting a lot of interest from other running backs. They got an offer out to Christian McCaffrey, a kid out of Colorado. He's kind of a dual threat, almost in the vein of DeAnthony, where he can play wide receiver and he can play running back at the same time, depending on how they want to use him. But he's a very quick kid. You see a kid like Buda Baker, who is actually kind of a dual threat in terms of plays on both sides of the ball. He's a pretty talented safety, but he's a very, very fast running back and also looks very dangerous in the return game. He could be playing running back. And you're seeing a report yesterday, a kid out of Florida, Carondis Larry, who said, and he's 3,000 miles away, and he said, if Oregon offered me right now, they'd be my favorite, essentially. So that's big news to show how big Oregon's growing, and they are focusing on the running back game. And I think it is important to look at as you see the offer list grow and how they spread out across the country. They've also got a running back in New Jersey that they're interested in, an offer out to Jonathan Hilliman. So you're seeing that Oregon, these kids, when they were 11, 12 years old, Chip Kelly come into Oregon and turned the program around and turned it into what it is. Not necessarily turned it around, but kind of elevated it to where it is. So these kids grew up with the Oregon football of, Dennis Dixon, leading into Darren Thomas, and they know that football. That's the Oregon Duck program they grew up with. So they want to come and play for him because that's the flashy national powerhouse that they are today.
Well, that Oregon brand must be really getting out. As you mentioned, the young man from Florida who said that Oregon was always his favorite ever since he's been was a little kid. So
right.
So 3,000 miles away, of course. If we look back, the Ducks over the last, for these kids that are 16, 17 years old, if you look at Oregon's record during that time, it's something like 152 to 60 something. It's a really a top heavy record for Oregon in the number of wins. So obviously that brand is really reaching out there to folks.
Oh, I definitely think so, and that's going to be a big important thing for the team to keep building upon, and they're going to. You see them making the steps. That Nike connection really is huge, and everything that's gone into the brand marketing, even the little promotional videos they'll throw out on YouTube before a game. They had the Storm LA video before the USC game. All those little things get out into the mainstream, and these kids, we live in a social media world. They see these things and they get attracted by it. Oregon is the flashy, cool school now, and if you look at a lot of these offer lists for kids back east, you'll see a lot of these offers are from schools, what are considered traditional powers. You got Nebraska's, Michigan's, those are the kids, those are the schools outside of the region that they'll get offers from. And then they'll get a lot of offers from, all the SEC schools. And then you'll look, and the West Coast schools are USC and Oregon. And USC, you always play the nice weather card. UCLA will probably be in there too now that they've elevated. But Oregon, this isn't the nice weather, beautiful sunny beach area. They've become a program that everybody looks at as this can get me to the next level. And they've got top-notch facilities. The Nike connection really does help, and I think it's really going to be a big deal, especially with this class. You'll see probably a little bit easier time them being able to wrap up kids and get them to commit.
Well, Robby, good job as always. So we'll look forward to in the next weeks to see how things progress on for the Oregon Ducks and their recruiting efforts for 2014. So for Robby Boydstun, this is Steve Summers for educ.com.